I started with ILS-S back way back in 2003, and was a lead architect throughout ILS-S's evolution from what was a Unisys system that was disparate. Every base had its own effective instance, and it was all green screen based, to what is now today a fully integrated enterprise logistics cloud computing solution. And for the modernization specifically, I was the lead solution architect and proposal on the tech side writer for the RFP, and then post-award led the fully integrated technical team throughout the modernization from inception all the way through the migration in production of the Unisys system into what is ultimately ILSS's modernized footprint, and then from there, their subsequent cloud migration. And really, there were three major components to what the SBSS and ILS-S modernization brought to the Air Force and the DoD. One was infrastructure cost savings. That's critical. Two was developer risk mitigation. So that aging COBOL contingent, being able to mitigate that risk and bring in a much larger resource pool that's in modernized languages. And the third would be platform stability and capability, and moving to a modernized platform, and especially moving to the cloud, gives you so much more capability in your tool chest, so that you can achieve mission objectives at the speed of need, which is typically referred to within the Air Force space. Air Force operates with a platform that was known as the Common Computing Environment, CCE, that then migrated to what is now Cloud One. And that platform basically had a designation that if you were more of an Oracle Java shop, you go to AWS. If you were more of a SQL Server Microsoft technology shop, you go to Azure. So that's what led us down the pathway to AWS, for the Air Force. The AWS also offered us, since all of ILSS's footprints built on open source, offered generally more used environment for those types of projects. Java, Python, so on. They tend to target AWS. There's a little bit more economies of scale for us as well. So that it made it a natural technical choice, as well as a platform one directed choice to go after AWS. So for us, it was a simple 100% as is, 100% to be conversion. No degradation of functional capability, no degradation in terms of performance capability. And we're doing this also interspersed at the same time that we're actively engaged in the war in Afghanistan. So you're talking about a mission critical system. We're trying to modernize it. So with that said, it was, how can you do it quickly? So we had a 24-month firm fixed price contract and a fixed delivery schedule at the 24 months. What we did leading in was my boss at NTT Data, Mike Ellerby, he ended up organizing a fly-off. We had down selected a group of vendors based on a set of criteria, one of which was a high degree of automation that would make sense to achieve the Air Force's mission objectives. And the government had released a bidder's library as part of the RFI phase of the acquisition. And with that was all the COBOL code. And so what we did, everybody had NDAs, we passed that out to all the vendors. And it was interesting, we gave a 6-week time window for there to be analysis of a small, medium, and large complexity program that was uniform across all the vendors. But what was particularly interesting with that whole response was that TSRI was the only vendor to actually come back with a response inside that 6-week window. And not only that, TSRI came back within a few days, and they were able to provide us with a accounting of missing COBOL code. And we were able to work with the government through the contracting office to get a full capture of the COBOL release. So the Air Force, they didn't even realize that they had not released all the code. TSRI did. And so between that effort, the analysis that TSRI provided, their detailed identification of gaps and the level of effort and the estimates, it really came down to, for us, a no-brainer with respect to our mission, was that TSRI demonstrated the highest degree of conversion capabilities and past performance, and really represented the lowest risk for us to achieve mission objectives. So it was really, they stood out. So I'll touch on the infrastructure cost savings specifically. we were able to achieve about a 90% reduction in total costs. So with the initial modernization, the Unisys was running at around 30 million year over year. And just by modernizing and moving to an on-prem footprint within the DISA environment, we were able to move that bar all the way down to about 5 million per year. Then we moved from DISA on-prem to the cloud, we were able to get about another 40% reduction. So all told, we started at 30 million prior to the modernization and ended at about 3 million post-modernization. So a pretty significant cost savings. At the same time, I mentioned the developer risk mitigation. So we're able to now take and apply, we're discussing about what happened with COBOL developers. Well, we were able to take those COBOL developers and really turn them into our functional contingent, our functional requirements leads. So they were still able to logically process and understand what's happening in the modernized platform, because TSRI does a very good job of converting from what is your source language to your target, but maintaining a lot of correlation between the two. So we were still able to use, even though they weren't Java developers, use those knowledge, skills, and abilities with the code and the business requirements to then positively affect the modernized system and do it on time, on budget, with release cadence of month by month, which is what ILS-S runs. And then the last one, again, platform stability and capability, that really can't be overstated. TSRI does a tremendous job of being able to move code to a modernized language versus rehosting modernizing solutions that are out there, right? When you rehost, you're still stuck with the old language, you're still stuck with the old skills and capabilities. When you get into modernizing the language and then moving into the cloud, now you get and take advantage of all of these different periphery capabilities that cloud providers offer. And ILS-S in particular, not only with that additional capability, the stability of being off the on-prem environment, ILS-S is now running at a 99.999 and add a bunch of nines to that uptime, whereas prior to us moving out to the cloud, even in DISA, even in the on-prem modernized footprint, we were still I think it was around 98.6%. So a significant uptick, especially for something as mission critical as ILS-S is to the retail supply chain for the Air Force.